Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you clicking on that video as always. And we are back with another weekly wears video. And this is a special weekly wears video because right off the bat, I just want to thank one of my subscribers, Benjamin, who sent me basically a box full of fragrances, 3 boxes worth of fragrances. So Benjamin, thank you so much. This weekly wears video is dedicated to you and your support of this channel because every fragrance that I wore all 7 days last week happened to be a fragrance that Benjamin sent me. So to say I'm excited is an understatement. I am going to jump right into the list, starting with Sunday. So Sunday's fragrance was one that had been on my radar. I had smelled it previously, but it had been a few years ago, and I didn't really have a massive scent memory of the scent. Maybe it just didn't overwhelm me when I first smelled it. However, when I wore it on Sunday, I was absolutely blown away by this fragrance. I am in love with this stuff. And it's, it's an old one. Since 2015, I want to say this was released. Scent I'm talking about is CH Men Prive from Carolina Herrera. Just amazing stuff. And in the air, wow. Prominent whiskey, woods, and this fruity, sweet, spicy cardamom when you first spray this. It's a little bit powdery from the tonka bean in here. Amazing. Manages to feel really classy, really smooth. Feels like a signature scent. Feels like it could be a more interesting signature scent for someone. But where this one really shines is in its dry down. As I said, that powderiness from the tonka bean, masterfully blended leather and hair that makes this feel masculine and sensual, alluring. This benzoin that adds some warmth. I could wear this every day. I don't care what season it is. I like this stuff that much. Where was I on this? Now, I will say, I looked up the batch code on this, and this is a 2015 bottle. This is the original formulation. So I got monster performance. This still smells on my clothes a week later. So performance was not an issue. Amazing performance. Does remind me a bit of Cremo's Bourbon and Oak, but this just is much more complex and rich and not as thin or transparent as that scent, and that scent is good. So I was just blown away by this. I want to conserve this because it's maybe about a third of the bottle left. I guess depending on how thick that, actually probably about half the bottle because the base is pretty thick there. But yeah, I want to savor this stuff. Thank you so much for sending this my way, Benjamin. CH Men Prive from Carolina Herrera. This next one that I wore on Monday is an absolute hype beast in the fragrance community. People talk about this one. It is elusive. It is hard to find. It is expensive on the aftermarket. And again, just so appreciative that this was sent my way. Scent I'm talking about is Ultra Zest from Mugler. Now, my understanding of it is that if it has the Terry Mugler on the bottom of the bottle, which this does, which I don't think you guys are going to be able to make out there. You may or may not be able to make it out, is an older formulation. And I want to say that I'd have to take this apart because one of you guys told me on my Pure Malt video that you can actually take this apart and see the bottle and see what the actual batch code is. But this stuff, I don't care what year it was made. It's really good. Man. So good in the air, just this bright orange citrus and this signature Mugler DNA. I get coffee from this. I get far more coffee than a coffee-based fragrance that we'll be talking about later from this fragrance than I do from that one. I just get this very concentrated orange note when I first spray this. It smells better, I would say, in the air and in a sillage than up close. It smells a little more synthetic up close. Quickly, it's balanced out with this vanilla. Now, a lot of people, when they talk about this fragrance, they usually only talk about this creamsicle vibe that they get from this, but this scent is way more complex than people give it credit for. Really, nobody talks about the complexity of this scent. It has this signature Amen DNA because I own Pure Malt, I own Pure Havana, and they both have this similar base, this thing that just sort of is constant throughout the life of the fragrance. This has it as well. I pick up some patchouli, I pick up that tonka bean. Great summertime scent. I would imagine this to be a fantastic summertime scent. Great transitional scent. Again, adding to that versatility, that complexity of this fragrance. When you hear orange, creamsicle, vanilla, you're thinking, well, it's playful. I can wear it during the day on a warm day. Yes, you can do all that. But I also see this being worn out in the evening as well. A really warm summer evening night out. You could wear this to dinner. That complexity from the patchouli and the musk in here and that coffee note that you get. Stunning stuff. A combination of notes that's really interesting, really unique, and nothing like what I have in my collection. I don't have anything like this. Very, very impressed. First time putting my nose on Ultra Zest from Mugler. So Benjamin also sent another classic my way, another hype beast, I would say, that you hear talked about quite a bit on YouTube, and a favorite of many people's, I guess, go-to sort of yesteryear type fragrance. It's an late 80s fragrance that a lot of people talk about from a very reputable house. The scent I'm talking about is Dior Fahrenheit. Now, I want to say this is a newer formulation of Dior Fahrenheit, but nonetheless, the day I wore it, really nice. And I would say that, a lot of people get that petrol, gasoline smell from this. I would agree. I don't necessarily get that from the air and in its sillage. On clothes, on skin, I do pick up more of that. Now, I spent years working in a small engine repair shop, so I can appreciate, I know what people are talking about when they smell gasoline. This reminds me of when the techs that used to work in my shop be emptying like a carburetor on a lawnmower, and we had this company that would come in and clean out the rags and wash them and then bring them back to the shop clean. But they always had this smell on them, and that smell was of gasoline. Didn't matter if they were washed a million times, you always smelled it. We would go home smelling like gasoline. So this is it. Now, it is far more pleasant than probably how I smelled coming home from work. This is balanced out with some vanilla, some sweetness. There's some nutmeg in here, adding to that the spicy sweetness to this. So this is far more appealing and pleasing than being around gasoline all day. So I don't want people to think when they have petrol and gasoline, if that's a scent that turns you off, you might still like Fahrenheit. With that being said, this scent is in desperate need of some sweetness, and it does get that from that nutmeg. I do notice that dissipate throughout the life of the fragrance. So as this dries down, it becomes a little more dry. You do get more of that petrol feel, but nonetheless, this really nice musk comes through. It's very masculine and doesn't smell dated. Doesn't smell like something that would have come from the 80s. It also smells familiar, and maybe an older guy in your life at that time, late 80s, early 90s, wore this, maybe even still wears it today. Because for me, this doesn't smell dated. It smells like it can be worn today in 2023. So, and Dior, I would expect nothing less. It's harder to pick out individual notes from this, which is typical of Dior. There's a million notes and it's harder to pick things out. The cedar in here and the patchouli really carry this thing along with that musk later in the dry down, and it's just a really nice scent overall. Great performance the day I wore it, and pretty much signature scent worthy. Fahrenheit from Dior. On Wednesday, I was really happy to give this scent a try because I have heard this one talked about quite a bit. Mr. Smelly 1977, Dan Naughton talks about this scent quite a bit. I periodically will jump on his live streams. He does them normally on the weekends on YouTube. Go check his channel out if you haven't yet. But this is a fragrance that he appreciates. He is into the vintage fragrances, and this is certainly a vintage fragrance. It was originally released in 1938. Scent I am talking about is let me hopefully pronounce this right. Pour un homme de Caron from Caron. And this is a lavender bomb in the beginning. If you've ever smelled Art of Shaving's green lavender, Very similar openings, this metallic biting sharpness from the lavender. Yeah, it smells really clean, masculine, like a boss. Really powdery. I get a lot of powdery notes, like vibes from this, especially on skin. That lavender though, unlike the green lavender, which sort of stays sharp, this smooths out pretty quickly with the addition of vanilla. You feel like you're fresh out of the barber's chair with this. You feel like you're ready to take on the day. If I had this in my collection when I did my Boss fragrances, this may have made that list. This is versatile. This is going to work in every single season. It's just so pleasant. It does have a slight oak moss vibe to it, a little bit sort of throughout the life of this, but it's not overwhelming like some of its peers, some of the other fragrances that I guess this would be compared to, which makes it smell more modern than a lot of those other fragrances. Really timeless, old school, but also modern enough for I would say, younger guy to pull this off. And not too young, maybe in his 20s, mid-20s, out of college, I would say. But it's not going to appeal to everyone, especially that opening. It's a lot of lavender, but it does balance out fairly quickly. And I got great longevity the day I wore this. Lasted all day. Can't really ask for much more. I like this one. Pour un homme de Caron. On Thursday, again, another gem that I had been wanting to try for quite some time. Really happy to have my hands on it. And more so than that, I did a video, a recent rack store haul of an aquatic that just doesn't work on my skin. This is an answer to that because it works on me and it smells amazing and I like it more than that scent I'm talking about is Aqua Amara from Bulgari. So if you guys didn't see my last rack store haul, I actually am referring to light blue O Intense from Dolce & Gabbana. But this stuff, really nice atomizer on here. Not crazy about the bottle. It's a little hard to sort of keep in line in the collection. But man, there's something that comes across as almost unisex in here. I don't know what it is. It might be a floral that's being used. Maybe the neroli. The neroli is subtle though. It's not like neroli and some other fragrances that I've smelled. This is a unique standalone aquatic citrus scent that transports me. It puts me in Cape Cod, down the Cape, waves crashing on sun-drenched rocks. It has this mineralic, salty vibe to it. Very aquatic. It smells like the ocean. It smells like you're on a boat going through the Atlantic, sea spray, the whole nine, fishing off the side of the boat. This stuff is amazing. Very aquatic feeling. Fantastic projection. This lasted all day. Smells even better on skin than in the air. It's just something that a lot of complexity comes out on skin. There's some patchouli, the watery notes, the sea salt, just amazing stuff. I love it. Can't wait to wear this more this summer. Looking forward to it. Aqua Amara from Bulgari. So this next one I'm really excited for because I think a lot of you guys will appreciate this for value, what you're getting. It is close to niche quality. It's incredible for what you're paying for this and is reminding me of one of my favorite niche fragrances, and I'll get more into that, but the scent I'm talking about is Armaf Niche Oud. Now, this is by far the best smelling Armaf that I've ever smelled, hands down. Very, very similar to Ombre Sultan from Serge Lutens, and minus the herbaceous qualities of Ombre Sultan because that has a very green aspect to it, and specifically more from the bay leaf and that, which makes that scent a little more complex and a little more, I guess, overall interesting. I love that scent. It's my top 5 niche fragrances, one of the most masculine, probably the best amber that I've ever smelled personally. So this is a little more harsh in the opening, a little more synthetic. But where this shines is in its longevity, in its projection, and its dry down. This gets incredible. Monster performer. This has more vanilla than the Serge Lutens, but it is so pleasing and so addictive when you get wafts of this as the day goes on. And the day that I wore this, it was a bit warmer than I probably normally would have reached for something like this, but I wanted to wear everything he sent me. And I wanted to try them out for the purpose of this video. And I'm glad I did, because I was showing a condo that day and I think we got a deal done. It might have been from the Armaf Niche Oud, because I just felt like on top of my game. And that's one of the things that fragrance can help you in that respect. It can kind of push you over the top in terms of a business deal getting done. It can give you that little bit of edge, that little bit of confidence that, you know, you smell good, you feel good, you look good. It's the total package. This isn't overly complex, a little bit sweet, ambery, chocolatey, patchouli, stunning stuff. If you have not smelled this yet, you got to try it. I am going to link it down below. I want to say it's about 40 bucks on Amazon right now. Worth trying, especially if you like amber scents. I know oud is in the name. I totally forgot this. I don't get a lot of oud. So, you know, slightly on skin in the opening, I do get some woodiness. I guess you can, it's sort of a medicinal oud, but because it does come across as a little synthetic. But once that fades, this is through and through an amber scent, and it's incredible. Armaf Niche Oud. Now, this next one, again, is another fragrance that I had heard mentioned on Dan's channel, Mr. Smelly 1977. One of the guys mentioned it during one of the live streams. I needed to try it, and sure enough, Benjamin sent it. And I like this stuff. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I like it. Scent I'm talking about is Black Soul Imperial from Ted Lapidus. I can't make out any of the notes in this, so I shouldn't say any of them. Pretty good spray, by the way. I don't know. There's a sweet, fruity, almost grape accord when I first spray this. A lot of people get coffee from this. I just don't. It is powdery to me, and sometimes coffee, to my nose, in fragrances can come across a bit powdery. It's a little powdery, a little old school feeling, but the leather in here doesn't feel old school. It actually makes it feel much more modern. And I want to say this is somewhat of a recent release, but Ted Lapidus is kind of known for those sort of old school powerhouse vintage fragrances. So there is there is a nod to that in this scent. The sweetness here is really well balanced. It's never becomes too sweet. There is some woods. It's pleasant. It's a really nice fragrance. I picture this being worn more of an evening out with like friends going to have drinks. It's a little more fun and I guess laid back, but interesting and a little bit alluring and intriguing. There's something to it. So I think the bottle sort of fits what I'm getting from this scent. It's a little mysterious. You can't really put your finger on it. You kind of want to get to know a little more about it. So if you're that type of guy, this scent might be for you. And I got pretty good performance the day I wore it. It really lasted all day into even the next day. I could still smell it on the back of my hand. I usually, when I'm testing things, so I wore it that day, but when I'm testing things for the first time, I'll also put it on the back of my hand and periodically sniff it. So yeah, this is just really nice stuff. Black Soul Imperial from Ted Lapidus. That's all I have today, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on any of these fragrances. And as I always ask, what was your weekly rotation? Whether you were 1 of 10, let me know what you guys wore. If you like what we saw today, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video, hit that bell notification so you are updated whenever I upload new content. But until then, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video.